Leaders plan a vote on their tax plan next week.
The Veterans History Project is a collection of pictures and written and oral stories from service members from World War I through today's conflicts. Director of the project is Colonel Karen Lloyd. She says it's important to hear from family members of deceased veterans as well.
We are trying to make a concerted effort to reach out to those Gold Star families to let them know we want to hear your story. We want to see the pictures from your veterans, but as importantly, we want to hear how your veteran's life impacted you.
Once collected, the stories and pictures are protected and on display through the Library of Congress. It's costing us a few extra pennies to fill up at the pump these days.
Good news for San Antonio drivers. Here's Daniel Arthurs with the AAA to tell us.
San Antonio is paying the cheapest for gasoline from the Texas in 21, but that's up 10 cents from WCO and up 26 cents from a year ago.
Daniel also goes on to explain that we can expect a small increase by Thanksgiving.
Connie
News Radio 1200 WOAI.
Gearheads are flocking to the convention center this weekend for the annual auto and truck show. Spokeswoman Cassandra, 3 minutes. The trend on display this year is performance vehicles that also are high-tech.
Of course, millennials, they love that. But I think that everybody wants a car that not only is going to perform in terms of technology, but it's going to be easy to use.
And no matter the color of the vehicle, she says car buyers still want to go green, so gas sippers can be found all over the show. A full evening of sports action on schedule here at News Radio 1200 WOAI. Beginning with the UT Longhorns and the Kansas Jayhawks, our pregame show starts at 4 p.m., kickoff at 5. Then the Spurs face the Chicago Bulls. Our pregame warm-up begins at 7 p.m., followed by the tip-off at 7:30.
How about
breaking news on the hour at the half and anytime at WOAI.com. Brought to you by Primo Plumbing. I'm Morgan Montalvo, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
You could win $1,000. It's the $1,000 an hour cash contest on News Radio 1200 WOAI. Listen each weekday at 30 minutes past the hour from 5:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. for a chance to win $1,000. Be listening for the keyword and your chance to win.
The $1,000 an hour cash contest on WOAI is presented by Diamonds Direct. Get her a bigger, better diamond for less at Diamonds Direct, San Antonio's direct diamond importer, with enough diamonds to supply up to 30 ordinary jewelry stores, plus over 4,000 ring choices. Diamonds Direct at the shops along the Tail, across from Nordstrom's.
Looking for plain English answers to your digital questions? Join me, Kim Commando, tomorrow at noon on News Radio 1200 WOAI.
The following is a paid program. The views and opinions expressed are those of the advertiser and do not necessarily represent those of WOAI.
Stones and steel. It's not a big place sitting up high on some hill. A lot of things will come and go, but love never will. Oh, I'm proud of the house we built.
Welcome to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show. I'm Keith Maley and glad to have you with us. I'm here with Morgan Maley Roberts. And she's joining us. Can you check your microphone there? How's that working?
Hello, everybody.
Try that one.
Hello, hello. Uh-oh.
We got the wrong microphone. Let's try that one.
Hello, hello, hello.
Okay.
Hello.
I've got them all the way up here, Morgan. Let's see. Try it again.
Hello.
Tracy, which microphone, which button is that one for? Try that one. Try that one.
Hello, hello.
Okay. One more.
Hello, hello.
One more.
Hello. Hello.
Okay. We'll figure it out during the break.
Yeah.
One more time.
It's mic 3.
There we go, mic 3. All right, thank you. All right, sorry for that. And we are discussing your questions, comments on anything in remodeling. We try to answer questions and prevent problems. And that's why this show was started. And the number you can call in live is 737-1200 or 1-800-383-WOAI. Again, that local number is 737-1200. We're going to be discussing flooring and popular flooring trends, and some really nice innovations have come into the flooring arena lately, and we think maybe you'd like to keep up with it. So we're going to talk about that, and any questions you have regarding it will also be answered. And again, you can ask any question about remodeling or about home improvement.
You can also ask on Facebook at KM Builders 1 and on YouTube at KM Builders.
Thank you. And you can watch live on those two also. So we're doing live, and we appreciate all of you who do regularly watch us or listen to us. And again, flooring trends. The old standby for so many decades was carpet. And now there's so many new things available. And some of the old have gotten new lease on life because of the changes. And even though carpet's probably the oldest, next to bare wood floors are probably actually older than carpets, because that's what was done in the olden days. They used wood before carpet was even invented. I guess we could go back to carpet would have been bear skins or hides. Animal hides was the closest thing to the original carpet. But after that, wood floors were the rage, and that was what everybody had when they built homes. And wood floors are still very, very popular. In fact, it's probably the most imitated product in all of the flooring industry. That is wood floors. So although people love wood floors, they don't like everything about it.
What don't they like?
Well, let's see. Maintenance is one thing, and if anytime we can get away from maintenance, that's a big plus. We want to, but you know, people think no maintenance on a wood floor, that's almost impossible. Well, it is impossible on a real wood floor, but it's not impossible on a floor that looks like wood. Like, what do you think of first, Morgan, when you think of something that looks like wood? Vinyl. That's because you've been in a little bit around me a little bit, and we've talked about it. Well, most people don't think of vinyl as looking really like wood, and they don't think of vinyl as being attractive, but all of you need to realize it is the fastest growing segment of the flooring industry, is the luxury vinyl industry. And it's not because of the old one-piece vinyl that we used to see on our floors that had some cheap imitation of a brick pattern or a tile pattern or wood pattern. We're talking about something completely different. It's so different that you will not know that it's not wood. And going back to the point about it being low maintenance, virtually zero maintenance on vinyl products. So Morgan's right, vinyl is probably the product that's going to be your best. Now, vinyl products come in a variety, but one of the things that's also available in some vinyl products is a completely waterproof core. And they have composite cores or solid cores inside them that will not be affected by water at all.
So you can use it in bathrooms and stuff?
Exactly, bathrooms, kitchens, and
laundry rooms,
even outdoors, even garages. They make great planks, and that's just the start of some of the advantages of it. We are going to talk about porcelain and ceramics. We're going to talk about carpet a little bit, and engineered and laminate wood floors. But the first one that deserves the most respect is the fastest growing part of the industry, and that is the luxury vinyl plank category. There's several different categories in it. Luxury vinyl tile, luxury vinyl plank, and the ones that are called wood plastic composites. They have a rigid core, and they just offer so many advantages. Some of the vinyl are solid vinyl through and through, and these are just offering tremendous advantages such as pet protection, water spill protection, being completely waterproof. Some of them are water resistant and very, very water resistant, and others are completely waterproof. One of the things that has really led to the advancement of it is how realistic it can all look.
That's
and
what I was gonna ask.
You've seen some, right?
Is that what I have in my apartment?
Yes, that is
looks
what you
really
have.
real.
Yeah, when you walked into your apartment, what did you think you were walking on?
Wood.
Wood. Until I told you it wasn't wood, right? You didn't realize it. You have to get down and you almost have to cut into it to see that it's not real wood.
Because it even feels like it.
Yes, exactly. Thanks for bringing that out. The texture and the visual is so realistic that the average consumer will never know that it's not wood. But it's nice to know, isn't it, that it won't be affected by a dog urinating on it
or their nails.
Or their nails. Have you noticed that that holds up really well?
Really well.
Yeah. So if you were in any type of room where a dog was turning the corners and running around, coming in and out of, you would notice that eventually a wear pattern would be created. And it shows real quickly on the clear surface that they finish wood with. Wood has to be protected with a clear coating, and that's why they've had these aluminum oxide coatings that have been developed so that they're much harder. But they still show the beautiful wood below. But eventually, guess what happens? It wears out. And no matter how good your wood floor is, they can only make that last for so long, that clear covering on there, that clear coating.
So do you have to recoat it?
Yeah, you would have to. You would have to sand that down lightly or put some clear coating on, and that would not be an inexpensive maintenance. But it doesn't take long before the dog's scratches start showing through, and you want to do that and repair that before it gets to the wood, because once it gets to the wood, in some wood floors, it's very, very difficult to repair, especially in the hand scrapes. In the hand scraped woods, you can actually repair small little repairs because it looks like some of the other rustic parts of the wood, right? Mm-hmm. A ding or a scratch or a furniture movement can usually be hidden with just coloring in with a dark marker. But once you see a pattern of a bunch of swirls or a bunch of curves or a bunch of straight scratches, it looks like something different than the rest of the wood. It's difficult for that to blend in. You have to do serious repairs. Most of the time, that leaves you with actually replacing portions of that floor, so you would need to have extra pieces. And that's usually the best way to handle that. It's just replace parts of that floor. And you're going to have a professional do that, especially if it was glued down.
That's what you see on the fixer-upper shows when they take off the carpet and they see the smaller wood planks. And if they're messed up, they have to take the whole thing out. There's one little piece because they can't get.
They can't take the one little piece out?
Well, they can't get melons to match it. And they
Yeah.
can't repair it.
Yeah, and so in those cases, a lot of times when it's the real traditional wood floors that's underneath that have been covered up, the whole floor can be refinished. You actually repair any bad ones, and then you just refinish the entire floor. But on laminates, engineered woods and so forth, a lot of those cannot be repaired. They cannot be sanded down because they have a texture to them. And you would literally sand off the hand scraping, and that's what's more popular right now, hand scraped wood floors and distressed wood floors.
They're really pretty.
What was the term we heard in the office the other day? Disturbed wood floors. If Jeff was listening, he'll get a kick out of that. Jeff and Courtney. But that's what happens after a floor's been distressed too much. It gets disturbed, I think. Just kidding. That's not a real term. And then it gets freaked out after that. We call those freaked out floors. But so anyway, there are some disadvantages of laminate wood products, as we're already talking about. They are not completely waterproof, and they're not really that water resistant in many cases, and scratch resistant, yes, but again, you're going to be able to see it. We want to talk more about the luxury vinyl plank and some of the pros and cons of it when we come back to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show.
A cure for hepatitis C.
Justin put 100 likes.
Are you serious? He can do that?
No, it just keeps on. These little like buttons kept popping up. They're like.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know you could do that.
Well, yeah, when you're going live, look, watch. Oh no, it doesn't. Yeah, see? So he kept doing this. And all I was seeing was his bubbles.
Thanks, Justin. You're the man.
He's doing it now, look.
Because he's hearing us. Way to go, Justin. It's entertaining for Morgan.
It's distracting. Is laminate the kind that's in the mobile home that's real shiny?
Yes.
So that's a con.
Well, not all of them are that way.
Oh.
But I do think we want to talk about the fact that it didn't show the wear.
The shiny doesn't show the wear?
No, the vinyl tends to be a non-glossy.
Yeah.
It shows no scratches.
And it looks cleaner. That's what I think. That's like the term for that.
You say that.
Yeah. I'll say I've lived in both, and the vinyl is easier to look clean.
Can you find a conversation on pros and cons in anything else like that other one?
Flooring. See this one?
Welcome back to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show. I am Keith Maley, and glad to take your calls here along with Morgan Maley Roberts.
Hello.
She's joining us in the studio almost every week. How's your ankle feeling today?
So much better.
It was holding you up for quite a while, wasn't it?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. And so a little less swelling, a little moving around, a little more getting around.
No crutches.
And we have our chauffeur, Jared, in the studio with us today. And so we are talking about anything in remodeling. As always, we'd love to take your calls and questions if you feel so inclined at 737-1200 or 1-800-383-WOAI. We are talking about flooring. And Morgan, you were saying some of the things you liked about the luxury vinyl plank that you did not realize was a vinyl plank.
Mm-hmm.
What did you like about it in your apartment?
Well, before I think I had, what did I have?
Laminate flooring.
I had laminate, and it was very shiny, and it showed every spot. This one is so clean. It always looks clean.
That is you've pointed out one of the things that is very, very popular in flooring, and that is to go with a very low gloss or almost zero luster. And that can be done in many products, but it's very, very typical. They've done it the best that I've seen. They have really done it the best in the luxury vinyl plank industry. It is very hard to find dirt on it, very hard to find tracks, puppy tracks, or anything else. Even water is not that visible on it if it's a little moist or something, but mainly dust and dirt and footprints.
It hides it so well.
And the laminate floor you had before, you could even see it if you walked on socks, I believe. You could still see the prints, right?
Bare feet, socks, slippers, anything. Or the puppy paws. Oh, you could see exactly.
And that was even when they were clean. Socks were clean, puppy was clean, everything, but it was still showing marks, and I was amazed. To me, I thought it was going to be a great floor when we installed it, because it went real well with the decor of the room, and it brought a richness into it. It was beautiful. It was a real wood laminate, but it just, the gloss was horrible on it, and you know, just keep low lighting in those conditions if that's your situation. But but it's so much better not to have to deal with that. And these luxury vinyl planks not only offer that, they are much easier to install. And this is what a lot of people don't know about the details of installation. Wood floors, and a lot of types of floors, actually have to be leveled out and smoothed out, and they have to be really, really carefully done so that you get a good look. It is so much easier with luxury vinyl plank to not only have the rich look of wood or some other products that they imitate, but the installation is so much easier because they do not telegraph. Have you ever heard of the term telegraph?
No, what's that?
Telegraph means that there's some imperfection in the floor. Let's just say a little.
Like the foundation?
Yeah, in the concrete or in your subflooring, like wood if it's a second floor.
Okay.
Or pier and beam homes. You can have a nail, or you could have a divot, you could have a little gouge, you could have a scratch or something. In a lot of flooring, if you go right over that and you lay that material down over it, it's going to show through. It's going to settle into that area, and it's going to start showing in the product that you just installed. Not tile, because tile has a thin set and it doesn't flex at all. But a lot of wood floors and laminates will actually show, and a lot of vinyl products would do that, but not luxury vinyl plank with a firm core. These will actually go right over it, so you don't have to fill everything in. You don't have to do floor leveling near as much on the ones that are floating wood floors as well.
So does that keep the cost lower?
Yes, absolutely. The installation is a big cost in any of these products, and as we go through this, luxury vinyl plank tends to be the least expensive product to install. Laminate floating floors are right along the same area, but there's some advantages over the luxury vinyl plank over laminates that you don't always get. But most of these have some similar installation properties, and both of them are very do-it-yourself friendly. And you can actually do these yourself if you're so inclined, and you want to get a little bit of some tools and some instruction. Let's go ahead and take a call before we go to our break. We'd like to hear from Karen. Hi Karen, how are you? How can I help you?
What caused it? What do you do to stop it? And is there a product that you do put on it once you took away the whole foot? And I just don't understand how you take care of it.
How to take care of dry rotting? On oak. And tell me a little more about where this is occurring.
Chip it all out. Do I have to peel it? Do I treat it with something before I put the half box over it?
Okay, you said you before you put what over it, Karen?
The log. Instead of a full log in a log house, they cannot send me whole logs to replace that log. So they told me, they gave me half log siding of oak. So they told me to clear out 2 inches into the full log and then put that half log on top of it or in front of it. But my question, I understand all that, but when you have dry rotting, do you have to chip away the dry rotting, and do you have to seal the wood in? Or will it stop dry rotting since you solve the water damage leaking?
Those are great questions, Karen. The first thing that we need to know about dry rot is it's not completely dry rot. It has moisture affected with it. as you've been alluding to, dry rot is a kind of a misnomer. Anything with moisture content in excess of 20% is what causes dry rot. If you can get it down to the normal levels of moisture, then you can eliminate it. It can completely eradicate it. But there is a fungus that develops, and it can grow in there, and you can treat that. The first thing to do, though, is exactly what you said: get rid of all the wet, because sometimes it just can't dry. And normally what's happened is water gets into wood, it can't get out, so it stays in there and traps it. So if you can get rid of all that wet wood, that's the best thing you can do. And then you can put boric acid. You can buy that at Home Depot or Lowe's, and it's the same thing you use for roach proofing. It's insecticide, but it's boric acid that dries it up and it kills the fungus, which, by the way, it also is a great insect defense system. So that's what I would do. I would get rid of it, get rid of all the moisture. Of course, you've got to get rid of the source of the moisture. And
we did do that, so it's all dry and everything. But I did not understand about dry rotting fungus. So once it's dry and there's no more moisture going in here, so that's my question. I didn't quite understand. Does it keep on dry rotting once you clean it out and it's dry? But if you clean it out, it completely stops dry rotting.
Right, that would just be a good double proofing. Get all the moisture out, get the new wood, the old wood out of there. Sprinkle some boric acid anywhere that was contacted with the, you can get borate or boric acid, either one will work, and that just make sure that you're killing any residual fungus.
That helps out a lot. I understand it now.
Okay, well, thank you for calling the show. You have a great day. I hope it works well for you. So just like that, you can call 737-1200. We'll help you with as much as we possibly know, which after 37 years of being in the business, I can probably help you a little bit. But dry rot's not really dry rot. It does have too much moisture, and it looks dry whenever it starts disintegrating and starts falling apart, but it was caused by moisture. You'll see this happen underneath homes where there's too much moisture in the ground, and you're not really getting the wood technically wet. And what happens is that moisture starts dissipating into the wood, so you think it's not that wet, but it's just spreading all inside the wood. It's being absorbed, even though it is at higher than normal moisture content for the wood. So it's a very slow process and very residual. And typically that happens where they're untreated lumber. And the building codes now require, of course, that anything close within a certain inches of ground be a certain type of treatment, and that prevents that from happening. It will not allow that moisture to be wicked up or just absorbed in the air to the same extent that untreated would. Now there's two types of treatment, and one is for above 12 inches, and another is for below 12 inches, which is considered ground contact. And you want to make sure you're getting the right type of treatment in your wood. It's the more expensive one, if that helps you any. So anyway, back to the subject. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the enhancements and some of the modern features of luxury vinyl plank. We're also going to talk about laminate flooring and the really popular, still popular, ceramic and porcelain, as well as hardwoods and laminates, engineered hardwoods. What are the differences, and what should you be choosing for your home? If in the meantime you'd like to ask that question, what should I be using? What would be the best? Then just give us a call right after the break at 737-1200. We'll take your call when we get back to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show.
Is my mic on? No, it's not.
No, I can only deal with one at a time.
Huh?
I could only deal with one at a time when we're going back and forth.
Oh yeah, I don't comment when callers are.
Yeah.
That's what I figured. But do you want me to do it from now on?
Could you hear her? The caller? Could you hear it all right?
When she's on here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kept turning it off so that it could be recorded on the live. It's hard because I have to turn it off.
Yeah, but do you want me to do that?
No. Sorry.
You freak out.
No, at the beginning I was trying to, because I had two microphones on, that's what the problem was.
Oh,
but once I
okay.
said, you know what, I'm just going to turn yours off.
Yeah. So just turn mine off.
Because what happened is that I turned mine off to hear it, and then it still wasn't off. She still wasn't coming across the airwaves.
Then it was mine.
And then I realized it was yours. I'm just going to
Okay, so it's this one and this one, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you hadn't turned mine back on.
Right.
After the call.
Right.
Okay.
Just did. You can remind me if I forget.
Okay, well, can I just press it?
Yeah, when that time comes, yeah.
Yeah, can I just press mine?
Absolutely, whenever I'm done with the call.
Okay.
Hey, somebody called.
What?
Somebody's they went away.
And you need to let me say, when you say give us a call, and I'll say, and also on Facebook, you know, let me do that after.
Hold your hand up.
Well, I did, and you didn't see it.
Because I'm not looking at you.
Yeah, you weren't. Michelle Branson Newenhue, very much enjoyed your show. I listen every weekend. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. Let me see.
Right there, that one. And Michelle Wimberly was listening.
Justin said I like it that much.
Because I put haha Justin when he was doing it the first time to get him to stop. Like, I see it. Take off your suede. It's probably why you're hot. I think it's ready.
Did he say it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Turn it up. Welcome to the KM Builders Remodeling Design Show, the second half. And and we're glad to have you here with us. I'm Keith Maley, and this is Morgan Maley Roberts with me on the show.
Hello.
And we are talking about anything remodeling as every Saturday at 2. Thank you for joining us and for watching, whoever's watching. And say hi to the one that was watching that you just mentioned a while ago.
Michelle Branson Newenhu, I think.
Thank you for watching. And we know many of you are listeners that are now converting into watching on Facebook.
On Facebook at KM Builders 1 and on YouTube at KM Builders.
And so that audience is growing, and we're having kind of a collection where people can go back and listen to specific shows.
You can also ask questions on Facebook. We can answer them on there.
Morgan is monitoring that in the show. It's one of the reasons she's here, plus she makes it be more interesting. But also she's monitoring any questions that come across Facebook or any other mechanism. And we appreciate those calls and those questions. So if you're not comfortable calling at 737-1200 or 1-800-383-WOAI, you can just Facebook get it.
Just type it out on Facebook. Send us a message.
At KM Builders
1.
At KM Builders 1. Thank you. So just go ahead and try that out if you'd like to. Any question at all? We do get a few really interesting questions, and we love those too. We are talking about all types of flooring and what's really, really popular right now, and the luxury vinyl plank industry with the composite cores and the solid cores are really, really great. One of the things we talked about is ease of installation. The price per square foot is usually much lower than something that looks like it in wood. It's usually a lot less expensive, and it is more durable, completely waterproof. And if you get the, some of them are not, but they're at least water resistant. But a lot of them now are completely waterproof, so you don't have to worry about water at all. Even in a flood, you could flood it, have water sitting over 12 inches or more, and you just have to clean that floor up later on. That's really all you'd have to do. So that's how good it is in that area. As Morgan mentioned, it has extreme good wearability. Probably better than anything we've seen in the industry, except maybe the wearability of porcelain tile. Porcelain tile wears really, really well. It's a very, very hard surface, but once it gets chipped and scratched, it's there, and it's hard to repair. But this product can be scratched, it could be chipped, and it'd be very hard to even do that, but it could be, probably would disappear. Probably wouldn't see it if you scratched it. So it's just way, way less likely to have any of these things happen to it. Guarantee you can chip a porcelain floor easier than you can chip a vinyl floor. And
crack it.
Yeah, it's hard to crack it, but you can usually pit it. Cracking it usually means that there was a weak spot in the way it was laminated to the floor with the thin set. That usually means there's a hollow spot. You could crack it with a hammer, but even then, most likely what's just going to happen is the finish is going to come off. But again, they're making those way, way better. So let's talk a little bit about some of the durability of luxury vinyl plank. It's just being so rigid, and we mentioned that it is easier to install. You don't have to float the floors as much, and that's very much like wood laminates. Now, wood laminates are really decreasing in their popularity. Floating laminate floors. The laminate floor, typically, the first ones that were in the industry were what were called pergo.
I heard of that.
That was the big name in pergo floors, and people called them that for a long time. Oh, do you sell pergo floors? Well, that's not what they're really called. They're called laminate. And those particular ones were plastic laminate that looked somewhat like wood, but really by today's standards, they didn't look anything like wood. They don't look real. But for the day, we were impressed. We thought it was great, and that worked. But they click, they make a noise, and so forth, and they don't really look real, and they're not waterproof. If water sits in them for a little while, they can actually start warping, and that's been their biggest problem, is that they cannot handle water, and a lot of times they're too slick, and people think they look too plasticky and they look fake. But now they make a lot better ones that do look like real wood, and they're not as glossy, so they don't show it as much. But you have to be careful. And whether you're buying a real wood floor, a luxury vinyl floor, or a laminate floor, I would warn you not to get something glossy at all, because that's the hardest floor to maintain, as Morgan was saying in where she lived before.
It shows a lot of dirt.
Yeah, it shows dust even. Even footprints in socks that are clean, it shows it. Just the oils in your feet coming through that, or maybe even the laundry detergent that was in your socks. So there was nothing that you could do to keep a print from showing in the right light. A lot of it does have to do with lighting, though, but nevertheless, you do want something that is easier, that you can walk on, not have to clean it every time you walk on it. Every piece of lint would show in that case too. So laminates are still doing well in the industry, but they've declined. One of the things they've done recently, though, that has helped a lot is to make things more water resistant. Some of them can take water sitting on them for up to 72 hours.
Oh wow!
They're treating the cores of the wood of the laminate floors. Now, typically laminate floors are a pressed wood. Pressed paper is actually what it is. It's like an MDF core, which stands for medium density fiberboard. And fiberboard is a bunch of paper that's of course made out of wood and a bunch of glues. And it's very inexpensive to manufacture because it's just pulp paper products, but it's not good for water. Now they're putting agents inside them that resist moisture and chemicals in them that resist moisture. And then they're putting waterproof glues on all the joints. A lot of homeowners wouldn't do that probably if they were installing themselves, so water will be an issue. And even on the very best ones, they're not completely waterproof. So if you're not going to be home for 72 hours and the puppy does his business, that might be a problem, and you may be replacing some floors. Now that might be okay because you bought some extra flooring and you feel like it's a rare thing, and that's something you have to consider, and that's okay. Just buy extra flooring and be willing to replace that. I will warn you that replacing any type of flooring from the dead center, if it isn't on the edge, is tough. And it usually has to be done by a professional, and it is usually not going to be the same exact fit. It has to be glued in, and it's a special application. So that's something to really be aware of. Now let's go on to the other product that we're talking about looks so much like it, and that is the actual. Well, let's skip that and go to ceramics. Ceramic.
Is that tile?
Yeah, the tile, porcelain or ceramic, which is a little different process, and they're both tiles, has been one of the ones that we hear the most about. It looks like wood.
Yeah.
And people love it.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool, and
it doesn't feel like it.
They know it's waterproof. So they like it because it's durable, it's waterproof, it's completely, no maintenance, pretty much no maintenance on porcelain. Now some of the disadvantages of it is it's more expensive.
Really?
Yeah,
than vinyl?
More expensive than vinyl, especially on the labor side. You can get products that are close to the same price, but usually if it's about the same price as the luxury vinyl, it's not going to look as realistic as luxury vinyl does. So get realism in luxury vinyl versus porcelain. You pay more for the realism in porcelain. It's a more expensive product. It's just more to the manufacturing. Now, but I will say that some of it looks exactly like wood also.
So why would people choose the porcelain over the vinyl then?
Well, they think that it's stronger and that it's better, and by some people's standard it is better, but I don't see why, because we're talking about durability and look, and I think, and it's going to be louder, a little more echoing on a porcelain floor. It's going to be just a little bit colder, and the joints always have to be grouted in porcelain floors, which you don't see in real wood.
Yep. You don't have any gaps.
There's no gaps, and the old wood floors used to be completely tight. The new wood floors that we install have a little bit of a relieved edge. They go down right where they meet. There's a little bit of a groove, a recess there that curves down, and that's so that you can butt these things up to each other. But you don't even need that on vinyl floors. They are tight, very square on the edges all the way through, which looks like the old style wood floors. And that makes them even more realistic, and you cannot get that in porcelain tile. Very few tiles are straight on the edge. You pay a lot for that. That's called a rectified tile that's been cut square. Very, very square on the edge, and it's a pain to install because it has to be done perfectly. And
straight.
Porcelain tile is not flexible. So when you're trying to get it flush over here, it's popping up over here on this other end, and so that's one of the things that you have to deal with. So you're never going to get as realistic unless you're paying an arm and a leg for it to get a realistic look on porcelain floors, and even then, it's going to have a little grout between it. It's got to. And even if it's an unsanded grout, which can get to within a 1/16 of an inch, there's still a grout joint. And you can make it disappear, you can make it look like it's not there by the color that you use, but still, it is a lot of work. It is a lot more expensive on the installation, and the products cost more usually also. So you typically will pay twice as much to
Wow.
3 times as much on the installation of a porcelain floor. A lot of people don't realize that.
Wow.
We better hold off on talking about hardwood floors and laminate, actually engineered floors, until we get back to the show after the break. We'll take a few calls if you want at 737-1200 once we get back to the K&M Builders Remodeling and Design Show. So you'll give me a 30-second worth of music so I know I gotta end it?
How's it going, Jared?
No, we're in service?
Yeah, well, we were in service, but we went and changed.
Oh. What are y'all doing next?
Errands.
Look at those suns, flares and so forth. The simulation.
So we have a collar. Do you keep missing the collars?
They keep going away. If he doesn't put the name on it, it goes away.
Oh.
They may be asking something about something else, or sometimes they call about another show.
Oh, so you have to wait until there's a name.
Because he's not done. Once he's on the phone still, see with him, right there. Could be anything. You know, it may not have anything to do with our show.
But it shows on there.
Yeah. It alerts me, that I can be looking to see if he's going to turn it into a collar. Yep. Mac. Lord.
Hello, Mac, if you're watching live. I can only see who's live when I'm friends with them. But if I'm not friends, I can't see who they are.
Oh, but it could be someone else. You can see someone else, you just can't see who it is. So we were friends with
No, she
Michelle,
commented.
the other Michelle.
She commented. I can see anybody that comments. I just can't see if they're watching live. It's anonymous if I'm not friends with them. You were in service?
Yeah.
Did y'all eat?
We ate at Barrio Barista and had the barbacoa and grilled cheese.
Was it good?
Yeah, with avocado. Alexis loved it.
I bet.
She was the one that was requesting it.
Yeah. She likes that coffee shop, right? See, there was a hair that was sticking out. It's still sticking out. See how delayed? They're different. This is okay, it doesn't make a difference.
That one's even more delayed, right?
It's just because of the stream. She said 1 minute.
Air traffic controller discovered with weapon of mass destruction.
What?
An air traffic controller at North Carolina Airport was arrested after he was found to be in possession of a homemade explosive device. Until you turn up that top one when the music comes. Right now.
WOAI.
Welcome to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show. I'm Keith Maley, and Morgan Maley Roberts is with us in the studio. And we are taking your calls live at 737-1200 about anything related to the remodeling or construction industry. We'll go ahead and take our first call there, Tracy, if you're ready. Mac, are you there? Come on in, Mac, if you're still there. Hey, Mac, how are you?
I'm going to remodel in 3 of my bedrooms. I'm taking up the carpet. I'm kind of curious. I don't want to put carpet back down. So what's the best thing for the best resale value when I sell the home to put in those bedrooms?
Great question. I highly recommend the luxury vinyl plank. Have you been listening to any of our talking about the advantages of luxury vinyl plank?
I just caught the tail end of it, so I was in the truck as a boat. Let me call.
Good question. Well, luxury vinyl plank is easier to install. You can actually do it yourself. It floats over the existing subfloors. In many cases, you don't have to do any work to it. It is less expensive and is the most realistic. It is completely durable. It does not have a gloss to it in most cases, so that it is just looks terrific. And you cannot tell, Mac, that it's not wood when it's on the floor. You'll be able to tell when you hold it in your hand because it's thinner, and it'll, you can actually flex it differently. But on the floor, you cannot tell, and I would recommend doing it in a floating laminate. If you want to see any of that product, you can come to our showroom. We are dealers for the Redco products that are luxury vinyl plank.
Outstanding, I'll do that.
All right, our showroom is at 7915 Mainland, and you can just give us a call and we'll show you some products. You're going to be amazed, and we can either install them or sell them to you directly.
All right, 7915 Mainland.
Great. Well, thanks for calling the show. I hope that your sale goes well, and I think you'll find this is the solution to what you want.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much.
Have a great day. And just like that, you can call in at 737-1200, and we'll take your call about anything related to the remodeling industry. Well, the last 2 areas we want to talk about is real hardwood flooring. Most of the time in the industry, hardwood flooring now is being referred to as an engineered floor, which means it has a thin layer on top of real wood over a different type of core. The core can be plywood, or it can be a medium density fiberboard, which is a bunch of paper pressed together, which still works in some cases if you don't want to get water on these anyway, so it almost doesn't matter. But the old hardwood flooring was 3/4 of an inch thick, solid wood. There was nothing in it but one solid piece of a tree. And now engineered wood is the way to go, and it is just a lot easier to install. You can put it directly over on concrete. It can be glued down to concrete, whereas real thick 3/4 hardwood floors cannot be done that way. Let's go ahead and take another caller before we go into our our conclusion with Lisa.
Today. My question is about the luxury vinyl plank. How does it stand up to stains, and is it something that you can use upstairs?
Yes, on both of those. It's probably the best on stain resistant. There is no way to stain it, literally. It's just completely stain proof as far as anything we've ever been able to see. And the only thing that could stain it would be an acid, and that would be because it's eating into it. But you could put mustard, anything you can put. It's not going to stain. It's just like vinyl. And if you've got something white, maybe some type of lighter color, I guess something could eventually penetrate it. But for all practical purposes, it's completely stain proof. And as far as second floors, it's really recommended for second floors. There's so much work to install a flooring on second floors, normally, traditionally, that it's a lot more costly. When you use a floating luxury vinyl plank, you've just cut your cost by 2/3 on the installation.
That's very interesting. And your company, do you advise people on? I'm sure you do. I guess you have designers, and you advise people on what would be the most attractive flooring for their home. That's absolutely right. That's a great question. And yeah, just look us up. We will be glad to advise you on that and show you that. Thanks for calling the show, and you can find us at 680-KMCO, Lisa, or look us up at kmbuilders.com. Thanks for calling the show. And with that, we will encourage you to join in next week. We'll sign off and tell you that you can look us up at kmbuilders.com or 680-5626.
7915 is the address at the office. And remember, you could have someone else remodel your home, but then you'd have to live in it.
The proceeding has been a paid program. The views and opinions expressed are those of the advertiser and do not necessarily represent those